So I think we are half, and I think that the remaining half or some of the people will still join on the go. For now, I will share my screen, and I would start with asking you the confirmation if you are able to see the screen. Just please let me know, and then we can start.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So let's start. And yeah, let's jump into a discussion of why to automate not perfect or messy, or there was even the worst word, which I wasn't allowed to use. So why to automate also bad, not perfect processes. And before I jump into the presentation, I would do two more things. One is I would quickly introduce myself, and another I would quickly introduce like what will be happening in upcoming 1 hour. So talking of myself, my name is Edward Ślepecki. I am founder of a company called ECTIVE. We are based in Bratislava, and we also back in the past we were also doing the offline community events, and I hope that soon when restrictions go away we will be able to meet in person somewhere in Bratislava or somewhere else in Slovakia. Then I am UiPath MVP for previous year and this year. I'm happy to say that the round of MVPs grows, and if any of you are interested to learn more about this, I would be happy to share with you more information. And as far as I see, at least one more MVP is today with us on the call. So happy to be surrounded with other MVPs as well in this call. Would be happy to also if you can share your opinion on this topic. Then the next one is I'm in the automation business since 2014, went through several larger projects which are listed there, like mainly running automation for larger COEs in shared service centers, in consulting companies, etc. Behind our shoulders, there are more than 200 robots in operations, plenty of processes automated. We quite often share the experience out of this. And last but not least, I didn't mention it here, but I also run my podcast. It is called automationimpact.io. So there we discuss with other MVPs best practices in RPA, in automation, and now it is like getting wider to intelligent automation. AI, I always use a quotation mark for it, and etc. So that's about me. And I would love, again, sooner or later to meet you in person here locally. Now, talking of today's session, first of all, presentation will be around 45 minutes, and this 45 minutes is in a chill pace. There are not that many slides, and yeah, so it is for chill 45 minutes presentation, I would say. Then it follows with 15 minutes Q&A and discussion. So it is not only about the Q&A, but also about the discussion itself, and I would later elaborate on this one. Session will be recorded, so if there are so later, for community purposes, we will be also sharing the video, and you will receive it as well. So you can, if you like it, you can share it, or if you don't like it, you can also share it with someone to show how not to do. Then the next one, while I am presenting, write your questions down. It may be useful for Q&A. So if don't wait for Q&A to list those questions or raise the question. But what I mean is that list the questions down while I'm presenting. So later for Q&A, we will have a fruitful discussion. For almost every slide, I believe for every slide we have a slide number. So you can also always take a note on the slide number, and we can return to a specific slide if needed. Please keep yourself muted if not speaking, if not in Q&A, etc. So while there is a presentation, it would be good to limit or eliminate the distraction for other participators. So please stay muted if not speaking. And I believe this is the last one, participate. So it is a community session. It is not a commercial. It is done for fun, for learning things, etc. And we learn not from me as a speaker and as a guy who presents some best practices, etc., but from community. So I'm super excited on this last 15 minutes where we would really discuss the topic, when it will be really like challenging the approaches, etc. It is not the best and only approach. It is just sharing my subjective experience. Before I jump into presentation, just a reminder, if you have like if you have some topic you would like to share, and you have like nice use cases or interesting experience, etc., if you like to share within this community, just reach out to me and you can be a next speaker. So it is not only about us as at Active organizing it, but we are very welcome to other speakers, even if you are from abroad and want to share some stuff with our local community, you're more than welcome. So if there are any topics you like to discuss, please let me know. Talking of participate, we would have also 3 kind of polls. So please participate also in those polls because your opinion matters. And let's start. So the first question I have to you is, what do you think comes first? Optimize. So you first need to fine tune your process and then and only then automate it, or vice versa, that you first automate it and then you actually can do all the optimizations, etc. And to answer those questions, I would like to kindly ask you to participate the first poll, the link to which I paste in the chat. As a disclaimer, we will have only 3 polls, so don't be lazy or annoyed. Please just participate. In total, it would require 6 clicks during the whole presentation from you. So this is the first one. You need to select the option and click OK. Then there will be a second one with select option and OK, and then the third one. So 6 clicks would help a lot to make this session more interesting and more interactive. So far, we have 7 responses, and as we are 25 people in a call, and again, as I was saying, contribute, please participate and please also share your opinion. So far, we have 10 votes for optimize, already 14, and 2 for automate. I would later also bring the result on the screen. So we have 18 votes, and I can slowly move it in, but let's still wait. I see another 5 people hiding behind the scenes, so please don't hesitate to share also your results. 21. So as you can see, the results are spread as followed. So we have 19 results for optimize and 2 for automate. So majority, and this is very right theory, that you should organize better your process first and optimize the process first before automating. And let's speak a little bit about the optimization. So when we hear optimize, there is usually like quite familiar thing in this optimization area, which is called Lean Six Sigma. So there are also new, more modern approaches. There is like combined with Agile, etc. But Lean Six Sigma is there for quite some time already. I think that even more than a century. And what's behind Lean Six Sigma? Actually, if you're in automation business, what all of you are, you have definitely heard about this. Some of you are maybe yellow belts, green belts, black belts, or whatever else. So I think that it is not that far from the automation business we all do. What's behind Lean Six Sigma? There are 5 phases which are always executed, which are called define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So we need to define where we would like what is the scope of our improvement. So what part of the process we want to improve. Then we also define what parameters we want to measure, if we want to improve the time or defect level or, I don't know, customer satisfaction or whatever else. So we define what we want to achieve, what we want to improve and measure. Then we measure itself. And back in the past, it was always with some timers and writing into Excel, etc. Now we have, for this measure, we also have a fancy process mining and other things, which I'm also happy to exchange the knowledge on and also ask what experience you have there already. Then once you have a lot of data, you analyze those, and based on analysis, you probably can spot bottlenecks, so-called, or other potential improvements and execute it itself. So you go for improvement, and then after you improve, you return back to the measure phase again, but now it is called control. So you measure it again and control if your improvements are done as expected. And the short abbreviation for it is DMAIC. And my designer, when preparing this presentation, really wanted you to remember this one. So because this is the core of Lean Six Sigma. So, and we will be returning to those phases again and again. So we have this define, measure, analyze, improve, control. And here we are getting to the second poll, where I would like to ask you the second question, and the second question is about how long in your company it takes to optimize the process. I'm copying the link now. I'm pasting it into our chat, and I would kindly ask you for another 2 clicks from your end, or 3 if you also include the clicking on the link itself. So we need to respond the question of how long the optimization takes in your process. And we are speaking about this experiencing the life cycle of Lean Six Sigma. Yeah, so we're not speaking about some local, easy, and quick fine-tuning, yeah, which can be done even while automating, but we are speaking about the Lean Six Sigma and similar initiatives which are focused on core process improvement. We have now 13 answers. It is very interesting to see what you are answering. And of course, I will share it as it was also before. We have 19, so I would wait for 2-3 more, and then I think that I can also show with you the picture which I see on the screen. So 22 responses I think is enough to share. We have 22 responses, and interestingly, for 5 of you, it takes 1 to 3 months. For 7 of you, it takes, and it is 1/3, it takes 3 to 6 months. Then for majority of present people here, it takes 6 to 12 months, and there is one person for who in your company it takes more than 12 months. Yeah. So thanks again for sharing, because I mean, however great or bad presentation I do, I would not make it without your support and without your so-called data. Yeah. So thank you very much for that one. And now, speaking of improvements, it is not something that you do as a project, like especially speaking about the Lean Six Sigma. It is not something that you do just, I don't know, from January till March and then that's done. Lean Six Sigma speaks about continuous improvement. So it is never ending, meaning that you always, after one iteration of improvement, you always need to find the bottlenecks in the other area, third area, etc. So this is the one of the core principles of continuous improvement. That this is in Lean Six Sigma. It is a mindset. It is not. It is not just the project which lasts, doesn't matter, 1 to 3 months or 12 plus months, but it is a mindset which company lives from the very beginning till the end, or at least till the end, maybe not from the very beginning, but runs for a long, long time. And then the next thing, and the last interaction so far is the third poll, where I would like to ask you how long automating of the process takes in your organization. If you apply the optimize first principle, so I'm asking about the automating after the optimization. If you automate straightforward, then you ignore the optimization part and go directly to automate. But I'm asking only about the automation itself. So using RPA tools to automate process, but without optimization. Yeah? So or optimization was done before, or it wasn't done at all. I'm wondering how long does it take for you to automate process? I'm having now 5, 6, 7 responses. So super appreciate participating and raising it. We will wait again for 20-ish, and then we would continue the presentation. So far we have 17. Also, I'm quite surprised, and I see really interesting results. Again, we wouldn't achieve it without you. So I still see few people hiding. We have 25 participants and 19 answers. So those of you who are listening and not voting, please do, because we need your answers to have better statistics and better visualization on the end. But to don't waste also time, yeah, 22, 23. Thanks a lot. Oh no, that's the previous one. So still 19. I miss few. So in the last one there was 23. So I miss few, but strong majority, 2/3 of you say that it takes 1 to 3 months. Then there are few people who say that it takes 3 to 6 months. So 2 people say that it's 3 to 6 months, as well as few people say that it is less than a month, what is quite fast. On the other hand, for 3 of you, for 15%, we have we have duration of the automation longer than than 6 months. And let's compare. I think that it would be interesting also to compare. I see someone joining us right now, so probably later we will be able to reflect it on the recording. To a new joiner, I would kindly ask just to mute yourself after you join, and we move on. Thank you. So for automating the process, majority says that it takes 1 to 3 months, where for optimization, majority says that it is 3 to 12 months. Yes, so we have equal split between 3 to 6 and 6 to 12 months. So it is important to remember. So here, 2/3 are for 1 to 3, and here 2/3 are in the range between, I don't know, I would say that in average around 6 months. Yeah. And now let's continue with the presentation itself. If we remember that CI, or continuous improvement, Lean Six Sigma, is about like continuous, so never ending or like lasting long. And we already know about this for a long time. So this continuous improvement was there for a long time, but we still try to optimize the process. Yes, so Lean Six Sigma was there 100 years ago, but we still try to optimize, etc. And the key message is, if we didn't finish with the optimization so far, why not trying something else with automating the process first? And this is provocative presentation. Yeah, it is definitely, if you have the continuous improvement team in your company, I wouldn't fire them after this presentation, because this is super great asset if you can optimize process before automating it. But if you don't have this team, don't rush with necessary forming it immediately, and don't let it stop your automation initiative. And let's a little bit elaborate on this topic. So here is Frank. Frank is in RPA terminology, Frank is SME, subject matter expert. So the person who is executing all the work in the process. And Frank, here is some activities described, like what Frank is doing, but in few words, Frank does a lot of things. Goes to meetings, does also his work, manage operations, whatever. Frank is a hard worker, yeah? And then let's have a look of what is the improvement and automation timeline looking for Frank. So we have a Frank who is pretending to work 100%, so meaning like kind of 8 hours. We include their coffees and talks and just freezing times after lunch, etc. And then afterwards, imagine that there is some initiative people coming, or externals or internal, saying like, hey, here is a continuous improvement, here is Lean Six Sigma, let's optimize. What is happening to Frank? Remember this DMAIC, the phases of continuous improvement. Frank will be part of each of this phase. Frank will be part of definition, Frank will be part of measurement, and he would be actually the source of measurement, so he will be the one who will be providing all the numbers, etc. He would need to participate, also analyze, improve, because he's the best to suggest improvement, as well as in automation. He's the SME and he's the best to suggest how to best execute this process, and hopefully also in the end he will help to control. So what will happen is that with this initiative, with optimization, Frank will not be excused from doing his regular work. I mean, there are these cool, great companies which, whenever you participate in new initiatives, the old responsibilities are taken away from you. But I rarely see these companies. So often it is still that you are to do your work, and on top you do all the great initiatives. Yeah, and if it justifies in the long term, only then you can a little bit reduce your regular workload. And then let's imagine that we automate the process already, and optimize the process already, and now it is ready for automation. Yeah, we still, maybe it is in reduced scope, in better scope, we are ready for automation. So then Frank is still to participate also in the automation journey, and it is still extra work. Yeah, we all of us like automation, but it is still extra work, and Frank is still to execute it, being SME, participating UATs, answering the in quotation marks stupid questions of developers, which are super obvious for finance guy, supply chain guy, etc., and many other things. So Frank is still to deal with other people and do the work on top. And on the end, if lucky, Frank is like having work optimized, automated, and company finally receives some cash behind it. Yeah, so some hard saving, and Frank is also doing the now more meaningful and better work. Now let's turn this picture a little bit more around and focus on the other scenario. We have the same Frank having 100% of workload, and then just the other guys are coming to him, still maybe internal or external, and still bothering him at the very beginning, say, you need to work more. But now we are switching these two. We are going for automation first, and we involve Frank for the same 10% for explaining his messy and unorganized process to the automation team. Automation team would somehow try to create PDD, SDD, and on the end to automate this process. But the beauty of it is that after we automate the messy process, we can go for optimization. So Frank is now, after the process is automated, and we, of course, as a disclaimer, we, of course, keep in mind the fact that this is not the last automation for this process, because we would later need to adjust optimization findings and optimization improvements, which we identify during this Lean Six Sigma iteration of define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. But the point is that we can free up hands of Frank for properly focusing on optimization without hating everyone around for this extra work. And on the end, still, we would achieve the same result. I wouldn't say that we would achieve better or worse result. Maybe a part of optimization would be automating it again. And you would say, yeah, it's extra spend, extra budget, etc. In the same time, if managed well, and if we return to our diagrams, our votings, we see that for the first 3 months, if we are to refer to majority, first 3 months we can automate the stuff, but then for the remaining 3 months, ideal case 3 months, maybe even longer, Frank would be well contributing to the optimization initiative itself. So, and let's look to these two things side by side. So on the top one, we have Frank dealing with the optimization first and then automating. On the other one, he's automating, then optimizing. On the end, we achieve the same result, but with the hating less people, being less annoyed, etc. Again, I like the theory of optimize first. And I think that if we have the right resources in place and we have the luxury, I would say the luxury to optimize the process first, great. But if you don't have it and you are starting your digitalization and transformation initiative, and everyone starts to saying that you need to have continuous improvement team, process optimization team, process mining, automation team, and all the other things, you probably want to start. You probably sometimes want to stop even before you start, because not always you get the budget with the 6 or 7 figures at the very beginning. And this thing can help you to find the budget. This thing can help you also to identify, to go after the quick wins, go after the low-hanging fruits, freeing up important resources, because Frank is the guy who knows the process best. You don't want to deal with a newcomer who just was onboarded, I don't know, 3 to 6 months ago, who doesn't have or barely have a clue about the work he is doing, and even less about the suggesting the improvements, etc. So this is one of the key messages I wanted to deliver, and now we will elaborate on this a little bit, that it is not wrong to start with automating first if you accept from the very beginning the fact that later you may need also to automate it again. By automate I mean adjust the results of optimization. But if it generates return of investment, etc., who cares? Let's move on. So I would like to elaborate on why and how automation can support the optimization. And here, quite familiar phrase, make optimization great again. So how automation can contribute to optimization. So what I'm speaking about, how this phase can become better, or this phase can become better if automation is going before that. And let's elaborate on this. So first of all, better people involvement. Frank will not be afraid of new optimization initiative, and other people who are watching Frank, because Frank is not sitting alone in the office as we all did back in the past before 2020. Other people see also how Frank was feeling while optimizing. So we can, first of all, we can involve people easier by saying that, hey, let's trade. We reduce the manual and boring stuff you do, but you tell us a little bit more on how you do the processes, etc. And we together can make the process better. This is one thing. Another thing is here, insightful data from robots. So here, I won't read from the slide, but what I can tell you is that we use a lot of data from automation, and back in the past there was this KPIs, key performance indicators. The difference for then and now is that we are not limited only with this key as the first letter in KPIs, key like main performance indicators, but we can go for more. We can go for even all, and with robots, one of the quite standard dashboards, and we had the also community meetup for dashboards. So if you go on the page of Bratislava community, you will find the recording there. We were showing how, for example, robots contribute to this business exception categories, and we know how many, in what percentage, what business exception is caused by different reasons. So we actually see that, for example, customer is blocked appearing in, I don't know, 80% of the cases, wrong input data in 20% of the cases, etc., etc. So robots can collect you much more data and much precisely for the measure phase, I would say, and analyze phase than humans would do. So this is about the insightful data from the robots on top. Another one is rapid return of investment. So as we were discussing before, in the first stage, robot would pay back itself. So it would generate the return of investment for the automation. In the second stage, it can also generate for you the extra budget for the optimization, because if you have some FTE saving there, you can first, the franc can be allocated there without a need maybe of paying extra external consultant, which is expensive if it is not coming from ECTIVE. And secondly, joke, we are also sometimes expensive. But or secondly, if for a longer, you generate the saving which can be focused on, I don't know, the better software or better tools to run your optimization initiative better. So rapid return of investment behind the automation. Next one is easier change management. And what I mean by easier change management, and I would even not be lazy to go back again here, is that in this case, optimization is happening poorly with human beings. So meaning that you need to collaborate with Frank to develop the better way of executing. And then afterwards, together with Frank, you need to convince other colleagues of Frank, because maybe Frank is not the only one doing this process, how to do the process better. And then afterwards, you automate it. Where in this case, you automate the process, Frank is working on optimizing it, but you are not anymore to convince people, you are to convince robots. What, as most of you, if not all of you know, being in this automation business, that convincing robots is much easier than convincing people. Yeah, so you don't need to onboard them, you don't need to teach them, etc. You just need to open the code, whatever it is, UiPath, Blue Prism, whatever. You open the code, adjust it, and ta-da! Like all the change management is done. Of course, there will be certain percentage of people in this process still remain, but the key message here is that it is easier to deal with robots when it comes to change management than with people. Yeah, so that's the advantage behind for the change management itself. And last but not least, as written on the slide as well, RPA is not the YOLO jump. What I mean by this is that you are not just saying, okay, I automate and then I see then I see what else can be done with this process. Anyway, when you are automating, you are doing the following things. You are optimizing the process when you create the PDD, because the good business analyst must ask the question if, when seeing one or another step in the process, must ask the question if process can be done different. What is coming before? What is coming after? Can something go wrong? Are there better ways of executing, etc.? So the first one, we optimize the process a bit while creating the PDD. Of course, it is not comparable to Lean Six Sigma Grade Initiative, which takes 6 to 12 months, etc. But still, you can adjust. You can apply quick adjustments on a PDD creation level. Then there is another one, is application assessment. Before automating any process, especially when we start dealing with the new customers, we always try to understand the applications. And what we try to understand is if we can use APIs instead of user interaction, if we can connect to databases instead of using user interaction, and if there are some mass transactions, mass uploads, mass downloads, some other things, if there are some other ways which are maybe not the most comfortable for people, but can be better executed by robots because it is completely different way of execution. So we try to assess the applications, and we also try to engage with the application owners to teach us how the best way to use the applications. Back in the past it was SAP, though now I think that we have quite a lot of knowledge about this. Salesforce, ServiceNow, Azure tools, etc. So we always try to find some expert in a team and say, hey, are we doing it the best way, or you can suggest something else on top. So optimization will be done also on this level, and regular agents in the office cannot execute the APIs. Yeah, they cannot connect to a database, etc. But they are using UI. So this is another improvement. And last but not least, SDD creation. I see in some companies even this step is skipped, and I would highly not recommend doing it because the way how robots execute is very different to how human are executing it. And on the SDD level, always, not sometimes, but always, process is adjusted, process is changed, and it is never one-to-one. For those of you who are developers, you know that it is not one-to-one how a human was doing it before, but you do it in a bit different way. One of the principles is grouping, for example. You try to group similar activities together. Like first of all, if you have 3 steps, one is download documents, then process them, and then upload. A human probably would do one by one, like download first, process, upload, download second, process, upload, where with a robot, you would first download all, process all, then upload all. Another one is like memory and capacity of the robot. So if you are to copy some data from application A to application B or from Excel, you would go row by row, where for robot, it is enough to read it once, remember all the data, and then move all this data into application one by one without any more opening the app. So if we will not click left and right, etc. So why I say that RPA is not a YOLO jump, but you still apply some optimizations, and quite often you apply the visible low-hanging fruits in this optimization area, which would quite often solve many of your problems. And I was reading one cool article was sent to one of my good friends and colleagues, Eric. So hi, Eric, if later you will watch this video, I didn't see you present in the participants. Eric was writing a great article, and if later it is published, I would also add it as a link to this session, that it makes sense to optimize the process first, but only if it is justifying with the savings. And justifying with the savings, it depends depending on location, on the cost of resources, etc. So in Eric's example, it was 2 FTEs, but I can easily say that in, I don't know, in some higher labor cost countries, it can be less than 2 FTEs, as well as in some lower labor cost country, it can be more than 4 and 5 FTEs. Yeah, depends how much you invest into this optimization and how well it pays back. So on this note, I think that's it. It was even faster than I predicted, so it wasn't 45 but 40 minutes. What are great news, because I think that we can jump into a discussion and Q&A. So thank you very much. Again, don't take it as the only approach. I'll never mention that Edward suggested doing it, and this is the only way. No, I just wanted to show another way, and it is not the way I read on the forums or books about, etc., but this is the way we experience with our customers as well. It is not always that we need to run this iteration of 3, 6, 12 months to improve the process, etc., to spot the obvious things. Fix it if we can, if not, automate it first and then think about how to fix it. So it was a great pleasure to share my experience with you, and it would be even bigger pleasure to hear about your experience. So first of all, let's start with Q&A. Do you have any questions to what was presented. And now I would stop sharing the screen so you can see me face. Any questions so far, or comments, or whatever? Probably many of you speak, but you are muted. So queue up, decide who goes first, unmute yourself, and you can start.
I have a question. So do you have any experience in your company where you did the automation before optimization?
Yes.
And does it work in reality?
I think that I steal from the pool of customers where we have 100 plus processes automated. If I would make some diagram and think of how many processes were optimized in the true way of optimization with Lean Six Sigma, something like that, before automating, I think that most of the processes were still, despite the rule, I never seen a perfect process. So I never, when automating, I never seen the process which is just good to automate as is, and there is nothing you can optimize. Yeah, so there is always something that we can optimize, but for most of the cases, we are going with the automation, and then with having the released FTE capacity and release time of the SMEs, we can involve them in optimization itself. Please let me know if that answers your question.
Yes, thanks.
Good. Any other questions? Otherwise, you will be forced to join the discussion. So maybe you can save others, and before jumping into the discussion, we can still have some questions I can answer. I can go back to any of the slides. I saw also some comments there coming from Martin Simoncic. I hope I spell the name and surname right. Isn't automation first more demanding than if it flows after optimization? Martin, could you elaborate on the question?
Yeah, of course. I was meaning that because on the slide where you were shifting the automatization before optimization, you used the same, let's say, percentage of time used by Frank. So I was just referring to that usually automatization without some optimized or standardized processes is more demanding than if it's done on the processes which are up to date or tighten up.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for elaborating on this one. So let me maybe rephrase it, and you also confirm if I understand it correctly. So what Martin is saying is that this part, like automate, is not the same, or might not be the same from the workload perspective. It wouldn't be the 110%, but it may be 130, 40, 50, even 200, let's assume, if we do it in an optimized way. So if the process is not optimized, it takes longer and harder than if it is optimized. Answer is, and I am sharing just my subjective experience, yes and no. I would elaborate, and you are welcome to jump in and also have an extended discussion. But when you optimize the process, you are changing the process, and you are changing it from qualitative perspective, but not necessarily quantitative. Yeah, so meaning that usually the Lean Six Sigma is not focused on reducing necessary, I don't know, the amount of steps, etc. But it depends on what you have in this defined place. But it may be, yes, that optimized process is simpler, but it may be that optimized process is even more complex, but delivering a better, I don't know, quality level, yeah, or lower defect level, etc. So, but if we assume that it is more complex, and let's say that it is same complex, or I would not try to convince you in opposite if you would say that it is even more complex than optimizing. Yeah, so we would say like 150% or something like that. Referring back to our votings, if we are to suffer, let's say the same amount of time, etc., we would still suffer shorter. Yeah, majority of you say, I assume, Martin, you were also part of this votings, that if we are to suffer, we suffer shorter for automation than we suffer for optimizing the processes. Yeah, so this is very important to understand. Even if we assume that this is same for us, being I am green belt in Lean Six Sigma. I'm not black belt, yeah, and I don't pretend to be an expert in this area because it was quite some time ago I was doing our Lean Six Sigma initiatives, but I know how painful, for example, the measure phase is, where you are to really agree with the end user and they need to measure the time, how long it takes, or try to identify all those areas where to improve, etc. It really takes time. Where for SMEs in automation, the process is already quite clear. Yeah, you need to help business analysts to create a PDD. Mainly, you need to show how you do the process. Quite often now we just record the video and we try to don't bother the person unless we really have no clue how to continue. So then we say, hey, we have a video, but we still didn't get how you do it here and there. And secondly, then in the testing, yeah, and here and there a little bit while development. But my subjective opinion is that it is usually lower involvement, but I would fully agree even if it is the same, that the time span is shorter. Martin, let me know if I answer your question, and feel free to elaborate how it is in your experience, how it is for you.
Well, it really depends on the processes and especially on the people who are involved in the processes themselves, because whether you have skilled or not that skilled people who are, let's say, performing the processes, that's the key question there, and it has usually the biggest impact on whether you are doing it automatization first or optimization first. Yeah, so I agree that in some cases it is possible to follow the proposed logic to do the automatization first. And in some processes it might be not that useful.
I agree, and again, it is just sample numbers which works for us from our experience, but as you say, it depends. So there is no one-to-one correlation. Then when you are to automate the process which wasn't optimized before, it means that it would be harder to automate. It means that you would automate the different steps, but it may be one and another way as well. And usually the effort which you would, from our perspective, from our experience, the effort which you put behind the optimization is quite higher. So it needs to be justified with the saving. So if after optimization you have 2 and more FTEs saved on top of what was the original saving, probably worth investing into it. Again, depends how much the optimization cost, where it is executed, etc. If it will bring you 20% more, or like, I don't know, half FTE or 0 point something FTEs on top, I would say that, hey, there is nothing wrong in automating it first, and then maybe automating several processes before and after, and run one optimization initiative for all of them, because we have people who can actually contribute now, who are not super busy, and who can really think only about the optimization, but not about the optimization and how to deal with the workload in overtime, which is collecting on your table while you are participating in this optimization thingy. But again, Martin, appreciate the opinion, and it is very subjective. It is like, this is just one of many different approaches. So thanks for raising it. Then we have another question from Peter. To which extent people are involved and happy with the RPA introduction by the boss, which helping them, and when this initial appreciation is changed to the feeling of, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose my job soon. Let me read it again. To which extent people are involved and happy with RPA, and so how happy they are at the very beginning and how unhappy they are after the process is automated. let me know, first of all, Peter, if I more or less understand the question right. And I will try to elaborate, and I would also double check with you if that answers your question. Regardless if it is automation or optimization, it aims for quantitative and qualitative improvement. But FTE is more behind quantitative. So in one or another scenario, we will have most probably the FTE saving, which means the release of person for this specific process. But does it mean that we lose the person lose a job? In my experience, I rarely see that people and I can't say that I saw the case where people lose the job because of automation. I saw because of being not willing to learn, not willing to evolve, etc., not willing to take other options. Like if your process, which you were just doing copy paste all the time, is now automated, and you have an offer of 3 or 5 other departments where you can move and continue your work with the company, but you don't like it because you liked, for example, in one of the departments, it was very surprising thing to me. We were automating the financial process, and we were saying to people, they were also on this was order entry and sometimes things on the phone with the customers, and we were saying that, look, your work is mainly split in 2 parts. One is copy paste from Excel to SAP, and another is clarifying some interesting complex things with the customer. And now we try to present it well, saying, and now imagine that you would deal only with this interesting part of dealing with the customer. And they say, you know what, actually it is not the most like interesting part or the part we are into, but it is more that we were enjoying the copy paste while, you know, like while we do the copy paste, we listen to radio, we speak about like how our families are, etc. So we don't like this, like speaking better your language and my language as well quite often. We don't like this bullshit you bring with your optimization or automation, yeah? So this type of people who don't care about what they're doing and they just they are there from 9 to whatever, to 5 or 6, and not caring about what they're doing, there is a risk of they losing a job, but by their choice of not evolving, etc. But what I often see in the companies is that it highly depends on the management and what is the strategy for the company. Strategies for the companies nowadays are not for like just getting rid of people, but winning the competitions. And winning of competitions, yeah, it means being more effective and keeping the strong and good resources, creative resources on board. And if you are willing to learn, if you're willing to take new challenges, even the part of optimization also and automation creates jobs. You can go to automation department, you can learn coding, what is not the coding as it was back in the past, the black screen with the green or white letters on it, but it is no code, low code, semi-low code, and all the other fancy names they come up with. You just drag and drop, you don't code anymore, and what you don't know where to put, you can Google. So you can code, but if you are not into coding, you can become a business analyst and just ask people how they do the process, record the video, and then take the screenshots out of it. Cool job. You can see how the other people are doing it, etc. And last but not least, you can even join the optimization team and be one of the guys who will get the Frankenoid when it comes to optimization. So answering the question, if people will be replaced with automation, no. People, the work which they are doing, the repetitive work, will be done by automation later, but it will open the new opportunities for people. And we were discussing it with the Priya in the first episode of our podcast, as well as recently. I was speaking about this with Danilo Magari. There's a fresh episode where he was like, actually, I was asking him this question. So episode takes maybe 30 minutes, the first part, and I think it was in the first part. So if you have some free time or while you're driving or whatever, you can listen to the episode and have more extended point of view on this, because we were discussing in depth what will be happening in the upcoming 10 years with the blockchain, AI, and all this stuff. So Peter, first of all, let me know if I understood your question and if I answered that, or if you like to somehow specify it and say that, Edward, you speak too much about even the things I didn't ask. You can drop it in the chat or answer here, unmute yourself and say something.
Hey, it's fine. Thank you for the answer. The second part would be how you deal with the resistance of change with the people.
Yeah, resistant of change. First of all, I wish we are not to deal with the resistance, but I wish that it is still on the shoulders of internal management, because we are an external company, yes? So we provide this as a services. We can consult management how to, but I think that still management has a power, and it is not the power of enforcement, but power of engagement. So usually it is about setting the proper people awareness, then explaining why you are doing it and communicating it transparently. Because if you are hidden, if you do it in a hidden way, that you call to Frank and say, hey, Frank, you show us, and then you will be safe, but others not, you know, etc. Then it can get like screwed the reputation of the initiative, etc. But if you are bloody transparent, saying, hey guys, I know there are talks about losing jobs, etc., but here is our strategy. Whoever's work is automated, here is the list of trainings you can take. Here is the list of initiatives you can take. Here is our plan for solving those things. Here are the opportunities, etc. Then, I mean, this resistance should go down. It is not like there are people who, whatever you tell them, they would still resist. But you, in the first wave, you go with people who want it. Yeah. So in the first way, you would have, on the one hand, you have very resistant people. On the other hand, you have also strong believers into the technology. So in the first wave, you go with the people who want it, and having a sample of those, if they don't disappear from the company, and if you treat them well, and all life continues, they can be a role model for more resistant people. And then people who were in the middle will join the second group, and people who are super resistant, there is the magical thing which unfortunately almost always works, is force. So if the last third category, even after seeing the positive intention, the positive traction of the project and all the right mindset, etc., still says that, hey, you know, I will not show you in my process. And also I see another problem with keeping unique expertise and unique knowledge. There are some older in terms of older leaders in the company, doesn't matter how old the person is, guys who have some know-how and not sharing it, don't want to somehow exchange, etc., because of being afraid of being replaced. Yeah. So I think that if the more you share, the more valuable you become for a company, and the less company wants to replace you. Let me know if I answer the question, or at least I tried. There is no one unique answer for it.
Yeah, okay, I got the point. Thank you. The last question is regarding the RPA itself and the integration. Is it on cloud or is it on site? And if it is on site, is it running on the virtual machine or the physical one?
Yeah.
And what do you propose?
I will immediately answer the question. Before that, I just was also chatting to give attention also to the people in the chat. Here, Tomas was writing that we are moving with automation and RPA for more than 3 years and never fired a person there. The strategy is to absorb more processes without increasing the headcount. Tomas, thank you very much. You just contribute to what I was saying, but yeah, your input is valuable. Another one, I will just quickly read through, and then we get back to the third question from you, Peter. Often I automate just a part, possibly the most painful one, of the complicated, messy process first. Then, when creating more capacity for SME, try to optimize it, and then I think that this is what we discussed. That sometimes you can easily spot the obvious parts which can be automated and still significantly simplify the life for SME to later better cooperate with you. So more or less the same principle, and to what scale you approach it, it's up to you. Now returning to a question of Peter about Peter, I would rephrase and you tell me if I understand it correctly, and feel free to elaborate if not. The ways of deployment the robot. So if we are deploying it attended or unattended, if regardless attended, unattended, if it is living in local, on premise, or if it is in the cloud, etc. As of now, I'm big fan of unattended robots, and this is like first you deal with all the unattended robots, which are like the bigger, longer running processes, etc. You try to somehow group it together, and I have a lot of fun with unattended ones. We have customers where it runs 100% on premise, including the orchestration, etc. We have customers where execution is done on premise on the local deployed machines, but orchestration is done from the cloud, as well as we have customers where both orchestration and the virtual machines are on the cloud. It is when we speak about the unattended automation, because it is always on the virtual machines. You don't want unattended automation to run on your laptop. This is very wrong, and I don't recommend it at all, because the purpose of the cloud is to have it accessible from anywhere, etc. And if you have somewhere the laptop sitting in your office and there is a power outage or whatever, it is like very poor handling of running the unattended automation on the laptops. It should be some virtual machines on-prem on the servers or in cloud on the servers. Now, speaking about attended automation, completely different situation. So you run it on local users' machines. And now, for example, UiPath comes with this picture-in-picture mode. So meaning that you can run your attended robot, which is interacting and doing some mess on your screen. In the same time, you can do something else. So you don't necessarily need to go for a coffee and have a good excuse that I'm not working because robot is working. But now you can be double productive, because robot can run one thing and you can do another thing. Plus, on top, UiPath now has this background processes. So some of the process doesn't require the UI. So you start the background process, and in parallel, you can do your work. So answering your question, unattended is always on virtual machines. Do those virtual machines live on-prem or in cloud? Depends on compliance and security. Attended automation always on the user's PC, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do anything else while automation is running. I hope I answered the question, and I see the hands raised. So Peter, if you don't mind, I would
Yes, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Peter, super appreciate the participating. So thank you for raising those questions. And I see two people raising questions. So it is Jan and Ladislav. So Jan, what's your question? You're unmuted yet.
Yeah, thanks. So I hear very interesting information, right? And I would be very curious, what's the industry of the customers? You are talking about the experience basically, because for instance, when it comes to my experience, usually when it's state-owned enterprises, or especially some financial institutions, maybe with some, as you said, older people and things like that, I usually see that they have redundancy when it comes to the number of people. They usually perform simple tasks, but they are very repetitive. And usually when you automate the processes, you actually lose people, right? So there is I have seen cases where processes have been automated and people got fired because of this, because they didn't have any other job to do. So especially this one, I saw that in the bank industry. So that's one of the points. And the other one, for instance, I have years of experience with customers from production, manufacturing, and especially logistics, where I agree that we automate just part of the processes because they simply don't have resources or they don't have time, to optimize in the first place. So they automate because something is very painful, right? And they do things like, scanning, especially things with files, like processing the files is very painful for them. So I think this is all related also to the industry,
Yeah. Let me elaborate on this one. Before I do so, we are now officially, like we said, that it will be till 5. We keep on discussion. Like everyone who has another 5-10 minutes, let's stay. Who can't stay, I will drop here a link, and I would kindly ask you, for those who stay, don't be bothered with the link now. We will speak about this later. But for those who will leave, I would like to kindly ask you, leave a feedback on what did you like about this session and what would you improve. Again, we are in the same boat, and it is not me doing it on some commercial basis or something, but we are community, and let's grow and evolve it together. So here you would see the question of what did you like, and write everything. Let me know what we should keep, what we should keep in the future, etc. And let me also know what would you improve. It is same important as what did you like. So for those who needs to leave, I super appreciate you joining us and you participating all the interactive sessions and discussion and presentation itself. For those who can stay, let's continue. So let's move on. Answering the question of Jan, I also rolled back to the slide about myself again, but here were the question the companies mentioned. So in the larger corporates, and here is like one bank also mentioned, the thing is that, for example, in Henkel, back in the past when I was working there, every first and 15th day of the month, there was like bunch of people coming in and out. Yeah, so there is this firing and hiring period, and I think that people will be leaving the current positions, but they have a high chance to always move to another position, because in larger companies, every day there are some opportunities. Someone is leaving by whatever other reasons, like maternity leave and whatever else, etc. So I think that it is about the transitioning inside the companies, and as my experience shows, rarely people are getting out of the companies or losing a job because of automation, but often they change the way they are working, and they change even the positions in which they are working. So I'm speaking about the larger corporates, and another one, you Jan also said that it depends. Yeah, so it is like it depends on their also intention, etc. And I would elaborate that it is, or I would add that it depends on intention of the management itself. If your main goal is to reduce the FTE, save cost, and kick the people out, then yes. But again, as I said, the main goal nowadays is to be same effective, or to be more effective with the same amount of people. Yeah, so be more competitive, generate more revenue, etc. But stay same, not grow also in amount of people.
Mm.
Feel free, Jan, to elaborate or add something if you feel we need to somehow keep on discussion on this one.
No, I agree. I just wanted to point out on the fact that it could happen. I've seen that in
absolutely.
the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Depends on the goal, obviously.
Correct. Absolutely, it can happen, and it depends on two main factors. One is like management of the company and original intention, and another one is individual and its approach to work. If you're the guy who is just doing this copy paste and don't care what kind of copy, like really not taking care that much about the company, there is a lack of the company. You would be also one of the first to leave if something happens, etc. But if you are proactive, I know how hard it is to say goodbye to cool resources, to cool people in the company. So I think that it still depends on both. But yeah, I fully agree. It may happen. And doing the small advertisement, we speak about this in a recent episode with Danny. So if you didn't hear it, jump on and while driving or running or jogging or whatever, you can also have extended view on this. Jan, let me know if you are satisfied with the discussion, and then we can move to other questions.
Yeah.
Or if you have anything to add, feel free to.
No, thanks. You could just go
Good.
on with other questions.
Yeah, thank you for raising this one. And I see also Ladislav having the hand on. So Ladislav, thank you for being patient. What's your question, or what would you like to share?
Basically, I just would like to contribute to this discussion regarding to question automate or optimize. The question is, what is the optimization? As you said, there is the make, which by definition is quite long, as it has 6 phases. And also, it depends on the company. In some cases, to open the make project, it, for example, should require to have benefit like 20,000 euros.
Yeah.
So to catch this benefit, of course, sometimes the process is changing significantly. And to answer what should come first, the question is what will be then the costs of RPA, of the cost of adjusting RPA, the solution, RPA solution. Just coming back to question what optimization is. Well, yes, during the PDD, many steps are optimized, as well as one can ask the department to do small optimization like Kaizen or just do improvements. So it will be optimized before automate or before automation. And just probably to share the experience that there is actually also the pitfall to have RPA as outcome from an ECTIVE project. In our case, it happened that they found the new way how to do something, but the benefit realization was not huge enough. And also the proposed new way how to do it was the RPA script. And the result was that at the end, nobody challenged or nobody tried the new step. So there was development behind. So people from the RPA team involved, and actually then after putting script to production, we found out that, well, it is not fitting to basic business logic. And probably the last point, optimization, whether or versa automate. Optimization is continuous process. So all the time there will be something that has to be changed in RPA scripts, and also the RPA team should keep that in mind. So updated documentations, also create new or create proper way how to involve change management into RPA script and so on. So I just wanted to contribute to the discussion. So there are no questions to answer, just probably to share my experience.
Yeah, Vladislav, super appreciated, and you again just proved that it depends. Yes, so it is, and it is something what I was mentioning also earlier, that it is to it needs to be justified with the original goal. Yeah, so if your goal is to achieve saving, you need to assess also if it is more efficient to go with the automation first, or you have a quick improvements, or you have even the larger Lean Six Sigma, but it would dramatically pay back, etc. So again, contributing to it, like I appreciate you shared the opinion, and again, you just answered it depends. I see people like start to leave already here and there, but I still like to keep this discussion, so let's move on. But one kind request to you is, the best way you can pay a ticket for this for this session today is just leave a feedback. Let me know how it went. It is very important, because there is an effort before the discussion, presentation, preparation, and all this blah blah and etc. Let me know how it goes, and let me know how it can go better. So the next time your feedback may be incorporated, maybe ignored. You never know. But I will definitely go through it, and if it is like something that it will bring the improvement to us as a community, I would definitely make it as a part of our next meeting. So before you leave, whenever you decide to leave, just please leave the comment feedback for what you like, what you would improve. And now I wanted to show you one more thing, which I think that some people were also joining later. So I just wanted to show you what was our voting at the very beginning, and question would be if you would change it or not, if you would vote again. I was thinking of creating one the same voting again, saying optimize, automate, or something like depends, and I assume that it like many people would say depends, yeah. But to don't create the obvious voting, obvious thing, I just want to show again that at the very beginning we all said it. Definitely optimize first and then automate, and then what Ladislav also mentioned, and what we also justify in our discussion, is that there is no like golden rule or the best and only approach, but it always depends. And for the guys who are already in a journey for some time, you already have this practical experience and you understand that like this depends is in your mind anyway. But for those who are just to start this journey, don't be afraid of starting small, and don't putting around you 20 people of like Lean Six Sigma, black belts, even more black than black belts, etc., and all this kind of complex things. Start small. You can have one developer internally learning on Academy or any other resource, trying to automate something and elaborate on this, evolve on these things. So don't be afraid of starting with automating without optimizing. those people already, don't fire them. They are super valuable and very hard to get. I know it as a company owner. So yeah, that's it from my end. Are there any other questions and things we need to discuss? Let's do. I see also the hand raised again. And I see also sometimes that while we are discussing something, people leave. Kind request and reminder, before you leave, write feedback. We are recording the session. I see all the names. I will later chase you if you don't leave the feedback. Kidding. Okay, we have a hand raised by Singh. I hope I spell your name correctly. Please, what's your question or what would you like to add to this discussion?
Yeah, hi Edward, Tushar Singh this side.
Yeah.
So I have already given the feedback, so no need to worry about it. So my thing is like in the process of optimization life, I've been in the journey of RPA for substantially 2 to 3 years, and the process of optimization from the business perspective as well as from the developer perspective. So in that scenario, I wanted to basically know that how can a developer be more optimized, like how can he evolve his journey to help various business teams, and as well as like UiPath is also evolving its optimization techniques in AI and ML. So I know it's something from a different perspective of optimization, not from the business side, but from the RPA side, developer side.
Got it. Thank you for asking this question. Let me try to answer it, and you also let me know how well I understood it. And if I know that we have some developers here and around, and I think that you guys will appreciate this answer, or I assume that you would agree with me. Developer doesn't necessarily should or must optimize the process. It is not the responsibility of developer to do this thing. Yeah. So first of all, we need to understand if you have an RPA developer, don't expect that this person will be a developer, tester, business analyst, Lean Six Sigma guy, support SME and often teach SME how to do the process better, managing the stakeholders, etc. Sometimes developer is just developer, and still I see it quite often that we are mixing those things, and we expect from developers more just because they are skilled, they are technical, and they can do everything. No. So first of all, developer is a developer, yeah. But if you are asking proactively how you as a developer can contribute to your company, and you are willing, etc., I think there was I would quickly show the last slide. This is part of my answer, and another part of the answer will follow. So first of all, if you are a developer, you have where to grow as a solution architect. And as a solution architect, you always can write the perfect SDDs, solution design documents, to bring the optimizations on the to-be execution, to-be process, how robot would execute it. This is one thing. Another thing, understand better applications. You don't need to be a Lean Six Sigma guru or something to ask application owner if there is an API connector or if there is a database connector, and you as a developer are very familiar with this. Yeah, so these two are for you by default, out of the box, without going to most fancy technologies like process mining, etc., which we will get to in a second. So first of all is understand well your role and master the good SDDs creation, and understand well the applications you automate. The problem of RPA, it is a great advantage, and in the same time, the problem of RPA is that you can automate almost everything, regardless if it has an API and if it has connectors or not. And the problem is because if it has, if you don't need these connectors, you even sometimes don't ask for it. You go with the user interface and you click all of these things, etc., what is not necessarily the most optimal way. So first of all, within a role of developer, you have these options, and don't underestimate it. It is very important. For the other side, there are new technologies, etc. So let's start naming. There is a process mining. There is a task mining. What is a different thing? There is a task capturing also. What is a different thing? So there are 3 technologies you can master, but you can't be good in all of them. So you need to to decide, and how Radomir was saying back in the past, like choose your destiny. So you don't need to be good in everything, but if you like to be better in one of these technologies, you have process mining, what is very interesting but very business heavy thing. So it is not much to develop, but more to analyze and understand. It is task mining, what is, I think, that also like wants to set up and then to analyze the data. And there is a task capturing, what is more the task for business analysts. So there are these three technologies. And I think that AI, machine learning, AI, deep learning is not that much the area of optimization, as I think it's just another level, and it is still more in area of development, and this is specific area of development. So again, you can't be good in process mining and all these technologies at the very beginning, UiPath or any other technology itself for RPA, and also for like cognitive abilities as machine learning, I don't know, AI, what I always say in quotation marks, etc. But as a developer, again, as a developer, be aware of plenty of reusable components that are on the market, and be aware of what is already available, for example, in AI Fabric. You don't need to be an AI guru or machine learning expert to reuse the stuff which is already there. So again, to don't step away far from your core development role, the basic things you can do is understand what you can incorporate and integrate within your role first, with better SDDs, better understanding of applications, better understanding of what you can reuse and what is already there. Another optimization is just downloading the things from the market instead of coding it for a few days or weeks. Yeah, so just reusing the existing stuff, and reuse the stuff which is in AI Center in this case, but Azure has also its own AI Center and et cetera, et cetera. So understand what can be reused. And I wouldn't recommend you to, learn machine learning, or, learn the deep learning, because it is not like this. It is not the training you take over the evening. It is, you need to understand it first on the high level, and then understand if you want to go into it or not, because it is completely another great, I believe, journey. So you need to decide if you want to go for it or not, but it is not must have that every RPA developer must go for machine learning, though the pressure is there, because we see tools and technologies appearing faster that we are able to observe, and it will be getting just faster. So don't get this FOMO that you are losing something. Try to master one thing and be sure that you will have enough fun and work. Let me know if I answered your question. I speak a lot and I try to give like extended answer, but maybe let me know how close or far it was from what you expected to hear.
No, definitely it was very enriching to get the things from your experience. It was really nicely answered, I would say. Sir,
appreciate the feedback. While I don't see any hands raised and any discussion ongoing, a reminder before leaving, leave a feedback, super important. And I feel as a parrot, but still I see many people left and very few feedbacks there. So would super appreciate if you can stop by and drop the feedback before leaving. And I want to ask if there is anything else you want to ask, if you want to discuss, if you want to share, or whatever else. Otherwise, we can head for a dinner, late dinner, or I am not sure if anyone needs to head for a breakfast from this round. So any other questions? I'm not in rush. So if there is anything, let's talk. Any other questions in the round? Let me also see the chat. While I was talking, I don't read. Jan was writing, Thomas is typing something. So any other questions? Thanks for the presentation. Have a good one. Okay. Seems like we're good to go. If any other things you want to share, feel free to. I'm the last man standing in this round, but otherwise I wish you a great evening for most of you. And yeah, thank you for joining it. I enjoyed a lot, so I hope the next one we see each other in person, or like for guys who joined from remote, maybe you present in one of our next sessions. So thank you very much for local ones and for the ones who joined for overseas. Thank you. Bye bye. See you later. I'm stopping recording now.